Good evening, family, and welcome to One Take. I'm Monica May. This is an opportunity to just reflect and get connected to folks in our community who are making a difference. And tonight, we're traveling to Winter Park, Florida, to speak to none other than our creative manager, my good friend Barbara Chandler for Hannibal Square Heritage Center. And Barbara, it is so good to see you. How are you making out during all of this transition stuff?
Wow. I have learned the art of pivoting. It is
Okay.
pivot on a dime. So it's so good to see you, and thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. I think that pivoting is the new word. And
Yeah,
when we talk about the new norm, how about we change that to the new pivot?
the new pivot. That's it. That's what I'm calling it.
You know, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about tonight is all the things that are going on across the nation, the
Yes,
world, racial
yes.
injustice, the biases, the prejudice, all the things that we've been talking about. How has art in our culture, how is that an intersection?
I tell you. So this is where art will tell the history and the story of what we are now seeing. For those of us who have small children and they're not sure how to convey this, art will be one of those mediums on how to tell the story, how to even get the story out, how to bring children to have a voice to speak to this. I think right now we are all wrestling and internalizing how this has impacted us and not really realizing the magnitude until you have one of those long cries and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm here. It is impacting me. I'm feeling it. So, art is one of those ways and will always be one of those vehicles in which we can express ourselves, whether it be the process of grief, whether it is pain, whether it's hurt, whether it's disappointment. Art will be that catalyst.
So, when we think about the Hannibal Square Heritage Center, what are some of the artifacts that are there now that can speak to what we're going through? Because
Yeah.
you've got a lot of history there.
A whole lot of history. And as we all know, the Heritage Center preserves the African American history of West Winter Park, a very affluent community. Inside the Heritage Center, you see the actual photographs of residents, stories, the oral histories. There's the timeline that chronicles the local history, juxtaposed of our national history. We have, when you walk up to the site, you will see the live sculpture of Richard Hall, who is a Tuskegee Airman. That is American history. So I
Yes.
think the great thing about a center such as the Heritage Center, the Wells Built Museum, and all these others, other places that we have, cultural institutions that we have, they are the repository for what is happening now. And how do we continue to integrate the past history to the new history is really going to be our charge.
So, are you open during the week, during the weekends? Do you have limited hours? What is it? Because we got to get over there.
That's so true. So to protect myself and to protect others, what we are doing scheduled tours. And basically all that means is call me in advance. I'm not far away from the Heritage Center. And this way, and I got to share this with you, a lot of people right now are coming in for different reasons. So that's even unveiling for me right now. A lot of people are coming in, and not necessarily are they African Americans, but they are trying now to understand the African American plight. So the Heritage Center, where we have always been, again, that center to learn history, it is now become this another way that we're morphing is for people to understand what is happening racially in this racially charged society that we're seeing.
A lot of times you would host discussions, community discussions on a variety of things, books even. Are you doing that during this time?
That has always been a great partnership with the Winter Park Public Library, Dr. Ruth Edwards. So
Mhm.
most of it, just like everything else, we have taken it virtual. And again, it's to stay in mandate with the social distancing. A lot of people, I get calls, when is this happening again? Are
Yeah.
you doing the walking tour? Because now more than ever, there is this desire to connect, to understand and to have the dialogue, to have the open dialogue. And I always say one of the things with the Heritage Center, it is a safe space in which we can have these difficult conversations amongst community.
This may sound a little trite, but
Uh-huh.
Black is back is what I've been thinking and feeling and just saying in my spirit just over and over and over. We were never out of vogue, but it's
No.
just now everybody's realizing Black Lives Matter. Do you
Yes.
know last Saturday at Lake Eola, I had an
Mhm.
opportunity to do a discussion with little kids
Yes.
about race relations.
Yes.
They were future advocate. They were rolling up their signs and they had their
Yes.
chants. And what I said to them is that nothing changes if nothing changes.
That's
And
correct.
the real conversation has to start at an early age. Now, I know that you do a lot of things with young people. Is there
Mhm.
anything that can speak to youth that the Heritage Center may be doing during this time?
Yes. So as we speak right now, I am developing a program. We have a program. It's a field trip program. It's called What Heritage Means to Me. And
Mhm.
so traditionally, the field trip program, the students would come. It was completely free. They would come to the Heritage Center. They receive a tour, a history tour for the younger students. I would say, help me build a community. What's in the community? The churches, the banks, the grocery stores, and I would take that model and show them how you build a community, as well as how a community can be disenfranchised, or in Winter Park's case, gentrified. What's missing from the community? So now we have to take that same model and kind of pivot to
Mhm.
speak to the racial injustice. How do little kids interpret this? How do you process from this? And the goal, the outcome, what we're hoping to see is a change agents. We want them to become change agents. You're never too young to identify what's important to you in your community, and how do you speak to that. So we got to pivot that program a bit
Yeah.
in order to stay very relevant, and I'm excited to be able to do that.
Well, we have to keep hold of what your schedule is so we can continue to remind people that the Hannibal Square Heritage Center in Winter Park is the place to go because they are still just able to share history with us, and not only of Winter Park, but around the world.
That's correct.
There's so much to see when you go. One of the things that I remember when I worked for a radio station here, one of our Black History trips was
Mm.
there. And just how much we had 50 some odd people with us and people meeting us there. And just also, Barbara, how you have opened up the Heritage Center to myself and my
Yes.
organization, Let's Spill the Tea, how you just open up and are just ready for us when we brought the Black journalists over there. And I
Yes.
wanted to say thank you for being such a welcoming center for everyone. And that's what community is all about.
But I thank you so much. And it is very important. And I say that because one of the things, and I think you and I have had this discussion, convening, having space to convene, to have authentic conversation, to network. In a lot of cases, we're limited. The African American communities are sometimes limited as to what those safe spaces look like. So,
Mhm.
one of the things I realized in coming on to the center, in order to engage people, in order for me to be the Heritage Center to be a better resource, we have to have our doors open. We have so many groups, whether it's a civic group, whether it is an art group. We have so many groups within our communities, and a lot of times they need spaces in which to hold their meetings. If we're not having space to do these things, it's hard for us to move the needle.
Mhm.
Right now, because of COVID and everything else, we have learned that technology allows us to do that, but we know that sharing space is really where the shift begins. So it is a great thing that I've probably hosted over 50 to 100 groups in the Heritage Center over a 10-year span. So
Wow.
we're delighted that we're able to do that. And we have an amazing resource bank of organizations that are here. whether they're art related, history related, community related. Everyone is trying to do their best and hold their corner to support the community and offer the different resources.
So now, how do we reach you? And Barbara, I'm going to ask you to come a little bit closer into your
Okay.
mic so you can speak a little louder.
Okay.
Um, how
Is
do
that
we reach you? What's give me the address and all that
okay?
good stuff?
Okay, so the Hannibal Square Heritage Center, we are located 642 West New England Avenue, and you cannot miss us. We are a house, and outside of that house, there is a Tuskegee Airman standing in a red jacket. We're right across from the Winter Park Community Center. There's a parking lot, there's ample parking. We
Yes.
have a grassy lot next to us, so we are right in the community. Currently, right now, like I said, pre-arranged tours of where we're going. That way, everyone can stay healthy. And it's, I think, right now, again, because we have people coming in for different reasons. I think the one-on-ones that they know that they're coming to talk to someone that's respectful. I always try to be as respectful. I don't have to agree with everything, nor do they have to agree with me. But I think respect is important in these difficult conversations.
Mhm.
So we're seeing a different group of people coming in for a different reason, which is really good.
I'm loving this, Barbara. Tell me a little bit about you, Barbara. That
Yeah,
always throws people off. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
yeah. Well, as you know, last year I ran for.
Barbara, come into your microphone a little bit.
Okay, is
That's the
that
thing about
better?
doing it live, girlfriend.
Okay, is that better? How's that? I want
Um,
you to
or maybe speak louder. Just
speak loud.
yell.
Okay. All righty. So as of last year, I ran for Winter Park City Commissioner,
Mhm.
and I took the charge. There has not been any one of color in the city commission for over 127 years. And I'll
Mm.
tell you what made me do it. I've been with the center now slightly over 10 years. And I had a group of students from Valencia to come in, and I was giving them the tour, and I was giving them the historical fact that there has not been anyone to represent. And I remember the students gasping in surprise to know that over 127 years there has not been any black representation. And Monica, it's like I heard someone say, so what are you doing? And
Yeah.
at that point I realized it's okay for me to continue to give tours of the history. However, if I don't step into the game, I will continue to add to the number of years that we have no leadership. So it was significant that we did that. There was no model. I think the last person that ran of color was maybe 30 to 40 years prior to that. So that's one of the things. We're constantly staying active in the community. We've created the CFAR Foundation, which allows us to go directly into these communities, neighborhoods and communities in Winter Park, and meet the needs of the direct community. A lot of people, you mentioned Winter Park, and they don't realize not everyone is affluent. Not
How?
everyone is affluent. And
Hmm.
so it's very important that we continue to remain on a humanistic level, and reach the actual people and residents of the community.
If you're just tuning in, this is One Take. I'm Monica May, and Barbara Chandler is our guest this evening. And Barbara and I have known each other for quite some time now,
Yes, we have.
just in terms of community involvement. And
Yes.
when I tell you, you did a great campaign there
Thank
in Winter Park, and I hope that you will not stop at that.
thank
You
you.
are a wonderful advocate for families there, for education, for the political structure of your community, for those who are in need. And that's a wonderful thing. That is
Yes.
a wonderful, wonderful thing. Again, give us the address of the Hannibal Square Heritage Center.
Yep, it is 642 West New England Avenue, Hannibal Square Heritage Center. Again, if you go to our website, hannibalsquareheritagecenter.org, you will see our new hours due to COVID. Give me a call. I'd love to give you a tour.
Can you give us the number that they need to call?
Yes, it's my direct cell. It's 321
Uh-huh.
594 3922.
Say that again because you kind of went out. 321.
321 594-3922.
I thank you so much for just sharing a moment with us. And people ask, why are your interviews so short? I always tell them, CNN gives you max 10, maybe 11 minutes. I always say that 15 minutes, I can get everything I need to get out of you. We talked about race relations. We talked about culture and how it relates to it. And we talked about what the Heritage Center is doing to preserve our culture. Please, when you get a moment, give Barbara Chandler a call. She gave you her personal cell phone number. We'll post it as well. And stop by the Hannibal Square Heritage Center. Barbara Chandler, thank you so much for being on with us with
Thank
One
you.
Take tonight.
Thank you so much, Monica.